on a theory or an essay related to their area of interest. We intend to conduct the series on every Thursday, 7:45 p.m. The department creates another milestone by devoting this endeavor to commemorate the late teachers of the department, Rev Fr Antony Kuttikkatt, Dr. Dhanya Menon, and Mr. M.D. Paul Davis. Let their love and honor transcend time and space through us. A warm welcome to all gathered here to Chrysalis 2021, a commemorative lecture series hosted by Research and Postgraduate Department of English. Let me now welcome Ms. Meera, Research Scholar of the Department, to lead the prayer. Meera, please.
Thank you, Anshu. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Meera.
Thank you, sir. So let's start with a prayer. Maitrim vachada agila hrajitrim. Maitrim vachada agila hrajitrim. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyada. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyada. Yuddham tyajada spardham tyajada. Tyajada parishva kramamakramanam. Maitrim bhajada agila hrajitrim. Maitrim bhajada agila hrajitrim. Thank you. Once again, welcome to Chrysalis, a commemorative lecture series, remembering with love, Reverend Father Paul Thomas Kuttikkatt and Dr. Dhanya Davis and Professor M.D. Paul Davis. Before we begin the session, I would like to remember all of you about the basic instructions that we follow in virtual meetings, like please turn off your microphone during the session unless you want to speak so that we can have a noise-free environment. And during the lecture, if you have any doubts and suggestions or further elaboration, you may feel free to ask or put the questions in the chat box. And let's begin Chrysalis 2021. As we conduct this as a loving memory of Dr. Dhanya Menon and Father Kuttikkatt and Professor Paul Davis, first we can just begin with a short bio of all these eminent personalities. First, Reverend Father Antony Kuttikkatt. He was an assistant professor at the Department of English, St. Aloysius College from 1983 to 1989. He was such a vibrant presence in the campus for so many years. His contribution was great in mentoring and teaching the young Aloysian minds. Then he left us to spread his light in Christ College. And late he came back to us in 2003. He was such a kind and gentle teacher. And he was such an efficient organizer. And he passed away on 23rd March 2021. And we dedicate this lecture in the loving memory of Reverend Father Antony Kuttikkatt.
Dr. Dhanya Menon, remembering her, a fellow colleague, recalls a phenomenon that happens once in a lifetime. Dr. Dhanya Menon started her teaching career at Chaitanya College, and later, in 1996, she joined Prajoti Niketan College, Pudukad as assistant professor to the Department of English. A blue stocking with sharp perspectives, a lady of letters, singer, dancer, epithets are many to describe this happy soul. Dr. Dhanya Menon joined the research department of English at St. Aloysius College as research guide in 2019 till her unexpected demise on April 2020. During her service as research guide in the department, she had contributed immensely for cultivating the intellectual potential and research faculties of our scholars. So this is also a moment to commemorate Dr. Dhanya Menon and her contributions to the career.
Next, Professor M.D. Paul Davison. He joined the department in 1969. He was such a vibrant personality in the Department of English, St. Aloysius College, Eldoret. He was the head of the department. We gratefully remember him as one of the early teachers helped building the foundations of our college. He was such a powerful and intelligent teacher and an inclusive leader too. He was an active member in vibrant philosophical and literary discussions. So we proudly dedicate this lecture in his loving memory. Now let's move on to the official ceremony. So first, I invite Dr. Betsy Paul C., our backbone in forming such great ideas of events like this lecture series. Actually, she is the brain behind this great idea of a lecture series commemorating these great personalities. In this occasion, I heartily invite Dr. Betsy Ma'am, head of the Research and Postgraduate Department, St. Aloysius College, Eldoret, for delivering the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Sridevi.
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
audible?
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
audible, visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I can't see myself. I don't know why that is. Anyway, thank you. I'll start. Respected Principal Dr. Chako Jose, our revered manager, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakil, IQSC coordinator, Mr. Melvin Luke George, UGC librarian, Ms. Vinita Davis V, supervisors at our research center, colleagues at the Research and PG Department of English, St. Aloysius College, teachers, research scholars, students, members of the organizing committee of this session, and all well-wishers. Wish you all a very warm good evening. More than everything else, scholars say what makes us humans human is our ability to tell tales, our ability to arrange the anarchic chaos of our lived experience into a structured wholeness. Then, like a jigsaw puzzle, the fragmented days of our short lives seem to gain meaning. The casual and temporary connections we make among ourselves deepen with significance. We get transformed into relevant cogs that are connected in time and place. Why I say this here is because research is usually a very lonely activity. And a research center mostly becomes a site where individuals vie with each other to excel, okay, on whatever level, in a competitive rat race. At the same time, research is also a collaborative activity. Every research stands on top of the shoulders of all previous research and researchers. Every research gains from its peers. And so, a research center should also be a center of vibrant interaction, not only among the researchers within the center, but also with those from outside. We should remain connected with those from outside our geographical location and also with those from our temporal location, apart from our temporal location. Of course, every research is a time travel through books and artifacts from the past. But at the same time, it is also about human connections, about human beings, about us. Thus, while planning the proposed activities of our center, we realized that we have to do something to remember those who were here till recently and had contributed much to our intellectual and emotional growth. Though they have now disappeared into the recesses of time, we need to commemorate them. Thus, their memories will stay fresh in our minds, in our stories. The stories of our lives and our research will be enriched by the memories of those who passed by. And I am extremely glad that the germinal idea for this was voiced from among the researchers themselves. Thus, this talk, Chrysalis, took shape. And the name Chrysalis too was suggested by a research scholar here. Chrysalis is a transformational state. And as this is a transformative time of our researchers, the Research Center of the Department of English, St. Aloysius College, aspires to give them connections in space to weave their success stories. Chrysalis is a commemorative venture, remembering every year some very dear ones who have contributed to the department. On Thursday every week at 7:45 p.m., a research scholar will be presenting an interesting intellectual discourse here. It will be followed by an interactive session where the participants will discuss the implications of the talk. Once every month, there will be an invited lecture by an eminent scholar too. Another highlight of this program is that the whole series will be organized by committees of research scholars, which will be formed every month to give organizing opportunities to every one of the research scholars here. Thus, we are making a new story here, a new story for our research center, our department, and for St. Aloysius. This year, Chrysalis 2122 remembers with love Rev Fr Antony Kuttikkatt, Dr. Dhanya Menon, and Professor Paul Davis, all of whom had made significant contributions to the Research and PG Center, PG Department of English. My task here is that of giving a formal welcome to you all. Okay, let me go to that. Let me first welcome our dear principal, Dr. Chako Jose P., who has been inspiring and backing us all through the planning stages of this program with his productive inputs. Welcome to this function, Dr. Chako. Our esteemed manager, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakil, is always supportive of all the research ventures of our college and has found time from his extremely busy week to be amidst us this evening. Welcome to this virtual function, Father. I welcome the IQAC coordinator, Mr. Melvin Luke George, whose generous support is extremely encouraging. Ms. Vinita Davis V., the librarian, is the very backbone of our research center, not only with her ready help in accessing books and journals for us, but also with her technical expertise in this virtual age. I welcome Ms. Vinita Davis here. I also welcome the supervisors of our research center, colleagues at the Research and PG Department of English, St. Aloysius College, teachers, research scholars, students, members of the organizing committee of this session, and all the well-wishers who have found time to join us. Thank you. Welcome you all once more.
Thank you, Betsymis. Dr. Chako Jose P. is all engaged in unwavering pursuit of intellectual endeavors. St. Aloysius College is blessed with such a polymath as his mover and shaker. Let me welcome Dr. Chaku Joseph, Principal, St. Aloysius College, to deliver the presidential address.
Thank you. Respected manager of the college, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakil, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of English, Dr. Betsy Paul, the IQAC Coordinator of the college, Mr. Melvin Luke George, Librarian of the college, Ms. Vinita Davis, other research supervisors of the Department of English, other faculty members of the Department of English, and dear research scholars and students. I'm really glad to see that the research department of St. Aloysius College is coming up with a scholarly activity of organizing scholarly lectures every week. The research department, English research department, is the only research department in the college. And as an academic community, we all look forward to the research department of English for such intellectual output. It's also glad to note that the research department is remembering three of the great teachers who served in the department: Father Antony Kuttikkatt, Dr. Dhanya Menon, and Professor Paul Davis. It's rightly named as Chrysalis, which Dr. Betsy said is a state of transformation. Research period is a period of transformation for every research scholar, from the master of the subject to a philosopher of the subject. And this transformation takes place quietly and is a struggle which most of the research scholars have to fight on their own. I'm happy that this program will be a series continuing throughout the year and will come up with more intellectual discourses. I wish all the very best to this program, and I thank the Department of English for taking up this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your encouraging words. Now, I would define the person as the entire strength of our college. It's a privilege to invite him to the session. And it's none other than Reverend Father Thomas Kuttikkatt, the manager of St. Aloysius College in Surat. I invite Reverend Father Thomas Kuttikkatt CMI for the inaugural session. Father, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the initiative by the Research and Postgraduate Department of English to organize this lecture series in commemoration of the service rendered by the three faculty members, Father Antony Kuttikkatt, Dr. Dhanya Menon, and Professor M.D. Paul. Father Antony Kuttikkatt was my colleague at Christ College and at Elturuth. Professor M.D. Paul was my teacher for the second year pre-degree class and was my colleague during 96-98 while I was working here as principal. Dr. Dhanya Menon is not familiar to me, but understand that she was the research supervisor in the Department of English. This is an occasion for the research scholars to express themselves, to showcase their research work to others, and to give an encouragement to the research scholars and even to the postgraduate students to present themselves. The research scholars can work hard to present research papers every week, leading to the completion of their thesis work. By this process, they can prepare for the thesis work. They can present a better qualified thesis work. By discussion among the colleagues and other research scholars, they can correct their purpose, their views, and they can have a very good qualified research work at the end. Therefore, I congratulate the head of the department, the faculty members, the IQAC members behind this program for their support and encouragement for conducting this lecture series and continuing this throughout the year. And I hope that this will be a successful venture and an encouragement to the PG students for joining the research department of our college. With these words, I inaugurate this lecture series. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Chrysalis 2021, a commemorative lecture series conducted by PG and Research Department of English in collaboration with IQAC of St. Aloysius College, Elphirid, is now on. Thank you, Father, for inaugurating the ceremony, inaugurating the whole venture. The college has its NAAC re-accreditation under this astute and perceptive leader. With all love and respect, let me welcome Mr. Melvin Lou Josh, the IQAC coordinator of St. Aloysius College, to speak a few words. Melvin, sir, please.
Thank you. Respected Manager, Reverend Father Thomas Kuttikkatt, Director Principal Dr. Shankar, Head of the Department of Research and Postgraduate Department of English, Dr. Betty Paul, Anita Davis, College Librarian, and other dignitaries. On behalf of the IQAC Internal Qualification Cell of St. Aloysius College, I commend the Research and Postgraduate Department of English with coming up with this lecture series. In these present times, research has become an integral part of the quality culture that is expected of any higher education. Chrysalis is the right step in this direction. This, I'm sure, will broaden and deepen the research culture in our institution. I wish the department, especially the HOD, faculty, and research scholars all the very best. And I'm sure more such programs are formed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your loving words. Next, we have with us Ms. Vinita Davis. Whenever we, the research department, organize a program or an event, we have a strong support with us. With a smiling face, she is with us for it always. The technical expert and UGC librarian of St. Aloysius College, Elthurth, Ms. Vinita Davis. I invite Ms. for the felicitation. Ms. please.
Thank you, Sridevi. Respected Manager, Father Thomas Chakramakil CMI, Principal, Dr. Chako Jospi, Dr. Betsy Polsi, Associate Professor and HOD, PG Research Department of English, Research Supervisors, Faculty of English Department, Research Scholars, and my dear students, a warm good evening to one and all. It's my privilege to be here before the research fraternity of St. Aloysius College, gathered as a part of Chrysalis, a commemorative lecture series, which is an initiative of Research and PG Department of English in collaboration with IQC of St. Aloysius College. As the term denotes, Chrysalis denotes a transition stage or a protective covering or a stage of growth. It's an innovative title, which is very apt for this program. And library has a key role in the Chrysalis stage of a research scholar. As a library is a hub of knowledge, we can support the research scholars in a right direction. And our library is providing research support services like article request services, similarity checking, training on reference management, and other related workshops for research scholars. So I congratulate all the team of research scholars and faculty who are working behind this program. And I wish you all the best for the lecture series. Once again, I assure the support of St. Aloysius College Library for the all events conducted by research scholars and research departments. And let me conclude by wishing you all, let carry some beautiful thoughts from each lecture series to your home. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Best wishes from Library Department. Thank you.
Well started is half done. This is a remarkable beginning. To deliver a formal vote of thanks, let me welcome Ms. Arya MP, Research Scholar of St. Aloysius College, Elthurth. Arya, please.
Thank you, Anju. A very pleasant evening, everyone. Every venture that we delve into becomes a success only because of the prayers, blessings, effort, and goodwill of so many people around us. So, thanking them does not feel like an obligation, it is rather an act of pride and happiness. Moreover, contentment. Time is the best gift that we can give anyone. Despite his tight schedule, Father Thomas Chakramakil CMI, our manager, found time to inaugurate our humble venture, Chrysalis. On behalf of all the research scholars of the Department of English, we thank you, Father, and the college management. This is perhaps the first time we are officially associating with our principal, Dr. Chako Jospi. As far as we got to know, he is a man who is very keen and enthusiastic about all the research activities that are happening in the college. Sir, we are privileged to have you in this function. Thank you for presiding over, and moreover, we definitely look forward to more initiatives under your able guidance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also extend our sincere gratitude to the IQAC coordinator, Mr. Melvin Luke George, for his presence and kind words of felicitation. Thank you, sir. The library is an integral part of the research department and the community of research scholars at St. Aloysius. Vinita ma'am, thank you for your presence and your words. And moreover, we know very well that your actions speak far louder than your words. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Our research supervisors were very enthusiastic about Chrysalis when we suggested what is going to happen in our humble venture. So, with wholehearted affection and a feeling of adoration to all our research supervisors, we thank Dr. Father Babu Paul, Dr. T.K. Pius, Dr. Verghese KJ, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, and Dr. Betsy Paul C., our strongholds. Thank you all. Let me also remember with a lot of affection and love the teachers of the Department of English, along with other teachers from other departments who were interested to show up for the inaugural ceremony. We thank you all very much for your presence. Do continue to support us. Thank you. Now, let me also remember with fond affection the families of Dr. Dhanya Menon, Professor M.D. Paul Davis, and the St. Mary's Monastery for having supported us throughout with love and affection to bring out this event and for their loving prayers. Thank you. This venture, Chrysalis, has been the brainchild of Dr. Betsy Paul C. From seed to sprout, she has been with us through each step, guiding us, supporting us, and encouraging us to do this. Ma'am, we are sure with your guidance, we are going to far heights, and definitely Chrysalis is going to bear fruit. Thank you for being with us, ma'am. The organizing committee has been running around virtually since the past 1 week to put this show really well. I thank Anita, Jose, Anju, Sridevi, and Arati for being such a wonderful coordinating committee, and it shows really during this presentation. Thank you. Finally, let me also thank all the research scholars who are, I believe, the essence of Chrysalis. We are all in this stage of meditation called research. And when Chrysalis blooms, finally, let us fly out as beautiful butterflies who spread the joy of knowledge all around us. I hope we all benefit from this. So, once more, all the kudos to our venture Chrysalis, and thank you.
Thank you, Arya. The inaugural session ends here. The inaugural session of Chrysalis 2021, a commemorative lecture series in the
Just a
loving
minute,
memory
Sridevi.
of. Yes, ma'am.
Let me thank you, Arya. And Arya was the one behind this very appropriate title, Chrysalis. Okay, please, Sridevi, will you please continue?
Yes, ma'am. So, yeah. So I also thank Arya for this beautiful title. And yeah, the inaugural session ends here. So Chrysalis 2021, in loving memory of Father Antony Kuttikkatt, CMI, Dr. Dhanya Menon, Professor M.D. Paul Davis. Thank you all for your presence and for spending your valuable time with us. It was such a wonderful session with your presence. Thank you once again for being with us. Next, we are moving towards the central part of today's session. That is the first lecture in this lecture series. It is presenting by Anita Jose, Junior Research Fellow and Research Scholar in the Department of English, the Research and Postgraduate Department of English in St. Aloysius College, Eldoret. Those who are interested can remain here and join with us with this lecture. Here, I invite Anita Jose for her presentation, for her first lecture.
Thank you, Ms. Sridevi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I think without much delay, I'll move on to the lecture. but before that, I have small request to make to the anchors. In case I exceed the time limit, please do let me know. You can interrupt me after 10 minutes maybe, and let me know when it is 10 minutes so that I can manage the rest of the lecture accordingly.
Anita, just a minute. Will you just tilt the screen slightly because only half your face is visible?
Okay.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
this
Now I
better?
think it's okay.
Okay.
Yes. Please continue.
Okay. I was just asking about an interruption from the part of the organizing, the anchors. Will that be fine? After 10 minutes. After 10 minutes of my lecture, so that I can manage the rest of the lecture accordingly, and limited within 20 minutes.
Sure, Anita. Okay, I think we could interrupt you by 7:15 p.m.
Oh, okay, that's perfectly fine.
7:15 or okay, let's say 7:20. That will be fine.
Okay, okay.
Anita, there's some sort of sound coming from there. Is it the voice of the fan? Now I think it's okay.
I think it's because of the rain outside. It's raining outside.
Please continue.
It could be.
And there is some problem with my camera too. I can't see anything. It's okay. Please continue.
Okay. Okay, so begin with the lecture. I'm moving on to my slides. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, Anita.
Okay. What I'm trying to speak today is about Haraweyan post-humanism. And we'll be briefly looking at the term post-humanism as well as the notions or ideas put forth by Donna Haraway in relation to post-humanism. Donna Haraway is an eminent theorist in the field of post-humanism, and she was an American professor, and she is mainly known for her works related to information technology and feminist studies. But today I'll be dealing with something different, which I'll look at in the further slides. And to begin with, I think we need to start with a definition of the term post-humanism. Now, the term post-humanism actually, it cannot be defined clearly because it spans across a lot of genres, it spans across a lot of disciplines. And the general conception regarding post-humanism is something negative or something which is pessimistic. The first image that comes to our mind when we speak about post-humanism is about a phase, a period when the humans are erased from the face of the earth, something like an apocalyptic scenario, or a situation when the world is overpopulated by technology, cyborgs, robots, humanoids, and the significance of humans are pushed to the margins. So these are the ideas that are popularly associated with the term post-humanism, and it appears to be a little negative. But instead, what I would like to do today is to look at the positive implications that we can derive from a particular idea of post-humanism, which exhorts or encourages a harmonious coexistence of human species, the natural world, and the technological beings. So that's a branch within the idea of post-humanism, where the main focus is not the elimination of humans in their entirety, but instead a harmonious coexistence between the human species and the non-human species, which includes the natural world and the material world, including technology. So basically, I would be looking at certain ecological implications embedded in the idea of post-humanism. And since I said it's about a harmonious coexistence between a lot of species, this idea of post-humanism is against the notion of speciesism. Speciesism, I hope a lot of you would be familiar with the word. It refers to the privileging of one species over the other. Now, while considering or while providing an equal status to all beings, Post-Humanism does not intend to entirely dismiss the relevance of humans. Instead, what it does is to look at an interrelationship between humans and the non-humans, where the significance or relevance of humans is not completely dismissed. So like Anita was saying, she is an American anthropologist. She says human nature is in an interspecies relationship. We are evolving with the rest of the world, which includes non-human beings as well. Now coming to the concept of Donna Haraway, she is a prominent theorist in the field of post-humanism. And like I said before, she has mainly dealt with informational technology and feminist studies, an intersection of both. And one of her most famous works is the Cyborg Manifesto, which is a must-read in the field of post-humanism. But since that is a little complicated and sophisticated, I've taken two of her other works for today's lecture, which is the Companion Species Manifesto and When Species Meet. So these two works, mainly because they can be considered in parallel to each other. It seems like these two works complement each other. One is a book, one is an essay, but the concepts in both, it seems like they are in parallel to each other. And within these two works, what I would be focusing mostly is on the aspect of the companion species. So going to the ideas proposed by Donna Haraway in relation to companion species, first and foremost, I think we need to define the term companion species. Then let's split the term into the companion and species. If you look at the word companion, common parlance, it would refer to a friend or an acquaintance. But if you look at the Latin, the etymology of the word, it has a Latin root, companus, as you can see in the slide, which means with bread. So the term was initially associated with food. Now, if you look at an old French word in association with the term companion, you find that the meaning of that particular word is one who breaks bread with another. So probably the first usage of the term companion arose with respect to people who share a table. So maybe it was used to refer to messmates. And we know that apart from this particular connotation, we can also use companions, the term companions, in relation to people who share a similar political space. Also in relation to literature, if we are to use the term companion, we refer to a particular literary text as a companion when it is a guide or a handbook, like the Oxford Companion to English Poetry. So in all of these contexts, we find the term companion is used, and it's used in different contexts, but we can understand that in each of these contexts, the implicit idea embedded in it is that of a harmonious coexistence, which is the basic and underlying factor embedded in the notion of post-humanism that I mentioned in the beginning. Now, coming to the next part of companion species, the term species. Biologically, we know species refers to beings involved in a particular group, a class which has similar characteristics or similar traits, similar biological characteristics. But again, if you look at the Latin root of the word, you find that the word initially meant to look or to behold. And it is not simply a mere gaze, but holding or looking with respect, holding by paying attention, looking with having a courteous regard, and in esteem. So basically, it's a gaze which involves an act of respect. For example, one of the essays by Derrida, I'm not very sure about the title of the essay, but in one of the essays, he mentions about he's stepping out of his room and he finds a cat lying there. He says he looks at the cat looks back at him. And the statement that he makes in the essay is, actual animals look back at actual human beings. So the word actual he uses there probably to mean that he literally refers to animals and people, and not he is not intending to give a metaphorical implication. So here we find that he is ascribing significance or relevance to an animal, the gaze of an animal, which he holds in due regard as that of a human. So what we find here is a transformation from being considered as an object to a subject in the case of this particular cat. So that is one idea that is embedded in the idea of companion species. Now, moving on, like how Haraweyan says, she says these two works of hers, the Companion Species Manifesto and When Species Made, these are documents which are intended to exhibit cohabitation, co-evolution, and cross-species sociality between humans and non-humans. So she's basically trying to bring together the human, the non-human, the organic and the technological, and nature and culture in unexpected ways. And one of the easiest ways to do this, she says, is by studying the relationship between dogs and humans. So that's something that all of us can relate to, the relationship with a dog. And here, in relation to a companion species relationship, she says, we know that the dogs as animals and humans as individuals, they inhabit different realms, but it is possible to bring them together in a single plane, such that one influences the other and is being influenced by the other. And the example that she gives is that is the game of agility. Agility is a sport, human-dog sport. I think it's most common in the West. The dog has to overcome obstacles, navigate barriers with the instructions of the human individual accompanying it. So that is given as provided as an example of a companion species contact zone by Donna Haraway. Now coming to another aspect within the idea of companion species is companion animals. Companion species, as I've just said now, it's about two actors involved. It's either the human and the animal and an object, or human and an object. But companion animal refers to one participant in this particular relationship. For example, companion animals can be dogs, horses, cats, or any being for that matter. And we know that dogs have been used for hunting, for purposes like herding, and also for other activities like rescuing people or discovering items. But neither of these is the focus when it comes to companion species. Since all of these activities I just mentioned now, herding, hunting, rescuing, all of it appears to be a little utilitarian in its attitude. It's training dogs for a particular purpose. But the idea embedded in companion species or companion animal is something different.
I think there is some network problem at Anita's end. Aditi?
Yes, Anju. So since the resource person has some connectivity issues, we have decided to conduct a little quiz to spend time till she comes back. So I'll be asking you a couple of questions related to literature, and you can type the answers in the chat box. So the first to answer the question correctly will be declared as the winner of that question asked. So you can all be prepared to type in the answers in the Google chat box. You will be given 10 seconds for typing in the answers. So I hope you all are ready with this. So my first question is, who is the first Indian citizen to win the Man Booker Prize? My question is, who is the first Indian citizen to win the Man Booker Prize? You can type in your answers in the chat box if you know. Yes, Varsha has got it. Yes, Reshma Miss has also got it. You're all correct. Arundhati Roy, she got it for the god of small things. So my
you have it, right? Arati,
yes,
so the first person to type is
Varsha bin Saif, our research scholar, PhD research scholar. Varsha has got the first answer to the question. Congratulations, Varsha.
So she gets the point, right?
Yes.
She gets the point, right?
Yes, she gets the point.
Okay, thank you. Arati, please continue.
Yes, now moving on. This is the second question. What is the sequel to Margaret Atwood's famous dystopian novel, The Handmaid's Tale, which also won the 2019 Booker Prize for Fiction? I'll repeat it again. What is the sequel to Margaret Atwood's famous dystopian novel, The Handmaid's Tale, which also won the 2019 Booker Prize for Fiction? Yes, Shilpa Miss has got the answer. Shilpa Miss is the first one to answer, so a point for her. Congratulations, Shilpa Miss. The Testaments is the correct answer. So, next question, we can move on to the next. What is considered as the premier award in science fiction, which is administered by the World Science Fiction Society? I repeat it again. What is considered as the premier award in science fiction, which is administered by the World Science Fiction Society? It is an award given for fiction, science fiction, which is given by an organization known as World Science Fiction Society. It is a famous award. You have to name the award. Yes, again, point goes to Varsha. Hugo Award is the correct answer. Congratulations, Varsha. That was our third question. Now, moving on. This is a very easy question. Our fourth question. Who is the winner of Nobel Prize in Literature 2021? Who is the winner of Nobel Prize in Literature 2021? Any answers? Yes, correct. The point goes to Anju. It's Abdul Razak Gurna. That is his full name. Answer is correct. Now, another question. Who is the first Indian English writer to get Gyanpith Award? Gyanpith Award is in Malayalam. It is also known as Jnanapida Puraskaram. Who is the first Indian English writer to get it? No, that's not right. Shankara Kurpa is not right. Indian English writer. Yes, Shilpa Miss has got it again. Jnanapith Puraskaram was given to Amitav Ghosh and he was the first to receive it. So points to Miss Shilpa.
Arati, may I
Yes.
interrupt? I think Anita has joined back.
Okay. So thank you all for participating in this little quiz session of ours. I hope you all have gained some new information and new facts related to literature. That's all we have for today. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry. Actually, I didn't know about the technical glitch that happened. So if someone can just tell me where I stopped, I mean, when the network got disconnected.
Anita, can you show the slides once more?
Oh, sure.
Anita, you were discussing about the utilitarian aspect of companion animals.
Okay.
The difference between the utilitarian aspect and how you're going to talk about companion animals in a different way.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, this is I think where I stopped. Okay. Apart from the utilitarian aspect, am I audible now?
Yes,
Sure.
you are.
Okay. Apart from the utilitarian aspect, the term companion animal, if you look at its usages in American English, you find that it was used with respect to medical and psychosociological work. For instance, having a dog, it helped people overcome certain difficulties in their life. So that was one way in which the one way in which the term companion animal is used by Donna Haraway. Something that that apart from an utilitarian perspective, it looks at companionship as a means of gaining happiness or well-being. So there are references in European languages also where animals serve as companions. Haraway also mentions about the ancient texts and evidences where there are mentions about dogs being used as pets, etc., apart from other purposes for which they were used. So in a way, it seems like as if the companion animal, the term corresponds to the term pet. It does appear to have similarities with the term pet, but there is a slight difference, which is that in the case of owning a pet, the idea of ownership comes in. So when there is the attitude of owning or ownership coming in, it's as if one person is having a superiority over the other. That is not considered within the realm of companion animal or companion species. So instead, in the idea of companion animals, what is focused here is happiness. Happiness of not just the human individual involved, but also that of the companion animal happiness. So it's as if both the entities involved, both the beings involved gain from the relationship. So this is as if we are ascribing agency to the non-human. The term agency, it's a very loaded term, but in common parlance, it would mean the capacity to think and act for oneself. So, and that this particular idea is usually associated with humans and in opposition to non-humans. But here, by holding in regard, by respecting and considering the actions of a non-human being in part or at par with the human individual, we are ascribing agency to the non-humans as well. We are treating both the human and the non-human at an equal plane as what Haraway probably seems to intend. Now, companion species, as I said before, it's a very big term, a large term. So not only because it involves two actors, where companion animal, it includes just one actor. In the case of companion species, it involves the participation of two actors. And also the term companion species, it spans across a range of beings, apart from animals. It can be organic or inorganic entities. It can be plants, tulips, rice, or insects, bees, all of them, which make life possible for humans and vice versa. Which means the basic idea of companion species is not unidirectional. It's about a reciprocal behavior where both the entities involved gain from the relationship. Now, there are three aspects that I think we can discern with respect to the characteristics of companion species from the essays that I've chosen. And we'll just briefly look at each of them. One is regarding the reevaluation of meanings of domestication and coevolution. Second is regarding the reciprocal behavior, being influenced and influencing the other entity, and questioning the idea of ownership. So these are the three characteristics that I feel can be discerned from the two works that I've chosen in relation to companion species. So first, regarding domestication and coevolution. Domestication, we know that it is a process of cohabiting, where two beings involved, they habit the same space. But at the same time, the term also appears to be a little condescending, because here humans seem to have an upper hand, since the animals involved in the process of domestication, they would be used for a particular purpose, or they would be trained to do a particular purpose. But the idea of co-evolution is something little different. Usually co-evolution, in biological terms, it would mean acquiring certain biological traits as the time progresses. But here the idea is of a relationship that is based on unconditional love. So a companion species relationship, it's based on co-evolution that has unconditional love as its basis. So this would ensure the happiness and well-being of both the individuals concerned, both the beings concerned in the relationship. Second is regarding the reciprocal behavior of the beings involved in the companion species relationship. For instance, again, while considering the relationship between humans and the dogs, we know that over time, human life has changed significantly in association with dogs. And the dogs, as Haraweyan mentions, they have acquired self-control. They have also acquired certain canine, emotional, and cognitive skills that are required in this particular relationship with the human. So it seems like both the individuals involved influence and shape each other in the process of co-evolution. And here, another aspect that is foregrounded is that of communication across the speciesistic barriers. Usually, human language, human linguistic capacity, it's usually deemed superior to the others. But in the notion of companion species relationship, we give due importance to the responses from the other beings involved in the relationship. Now, regarding the question of ownership or guardianship, Vicky Hearn is a popular American author, philosopher, and also an animal trainer. She talks about the relationship between companion species, and there she says, definitely, it is not about ownership. But the second question that she asks is it about guardianship? Is the human acting as a guardian who takes care of the other animal or the other being involved? And she says, it is not that. It is neither about ownership, it is neither about guardianship. She does not give an answer to that question, but what I personally feel is, instead, it is based on mutual respect. The relationship is probably based on, or should be based on, mutual respect, where both the beings involved, the non-human one as well, is considered capable of moral understanding and achievements. But what we intend here is not anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism, as we would know, is about ascribing human qualities to a non-human being. That is not intended here, since that again would be a little condescending. Instead, what we try to focus here is to maintain the inherent quality of both the beings involved and take them for their unique traits. Now, another subsection in the essay, the Companion Species Manifesto, Haraweyan talks about companion species and disability. How do disabled individuals, now the question of disability, it can be problematized, but here I'm using it in the general term used, in the general, according to general conceptions that we have. So here she gives the example of her father, Frank Haraweyan, who was afflicted with tuberculosis, and he was confined to wheelchairs and crutches for a very long time. And she says these objects turned out to be companions to her father. So here the relationship is between a human individual and an inanimate object, the wheelchair and the crutches. And she also says how satellite installations and television sets also helped her father. So all of these entities become one actor in the companion species that she has described. But the question of reciprocity here does become a problem, since inanimate objects, responses from the part of inanimate objects would not be actually possible. But that's something maybe that can be taken up for further research. However, Haraweyan does not deal with that question. But what she says is inanimate objects, like technological devices, as in the case of her father, can be considered as belonging within the ambit of companion species relationship. So apart from animate beings, the idea applies to matter and technology as well, which are usually deemed inanimate. Now, how much time do I have? Have I exceeded the time?
Anita, since you had a network issue, I think you took almost 20 minutes.
Okay.
Altogether, but if you could wind up within 7 to 8 minutes, it would be fine, I think.
What I can suggest is, shall we have the responses, and after that, if we have time, maybe I will deal with an example from a literary text.
Okay.
Will that be fine?
So, what about others? Is it enough, Anita?
That's perfectly fine for me.
Have you completed your theoretical side? Or
yeah, I have completed my theoretical side. I'm just, I would like to give an example from a literary text from this perspective, but that can be done away with if required.
If you could complete it within 5 minutes, it would be okay, I think.
Okay. Okay, fine.
You can continue.
Okay. From the perspective of a literary text, let's look at a companion-species relationship. Probably you are aware of the popular author Margaret Atwood. Atwood, she's a Canadian author, and she has compiled a trilogy called the Mad Adam Trilogy, which probably most of you are familiar with. And in that, you find a scenario where the world is ravaged by a particular activity, and it's almost like an apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic environment. So here, I would like to look at how we can trace a companion species relationship between a character called Toby and her relationship with bees, the insects bees. So can we study that from the perspective of companion species relationship as something that is put forth by a scholar called Benjamin Bosquet in one of his articles, where he deals with companion species, the idea of companion species in Mad Adam Trilogy. So here, what we find is Toby, she is one of the major protagonists in the text, and initially her relationship with bees is not on equal terms. But later on, she's under the training of another, her mentor called Pilar. And like Pilar says, she finds that other bees in the rest of the world, they are struggling a lot, while the bees that they protect in the rooftop garden, they thrive. And the reason that she says is they know that they are loved. So this relationship evidently becomes an instance of unconditional love on the part of the individuals involved or the beings involved. Also, the beekeepers, if you look at in ancient Rome and Egypt, as Bosquet says, they were in a relationship with these insects in such a way that they had to gain an understanding of the bees to work with them. So there we find due respect given to the other being involved. And this is like a prototype companion species relationship put forth by Haraweyan. And it seems like the relationship between Pilar and the bees is on this particular level, while that of Toby seems to be a little different initially. But later on, as the novel progresses, what we find is she is capable of communicating with the bees in her own language. She is capable of ascribing meaning to the responses from bees, and hence we find communication happening across the speciesistic barriers. She is shown to developing a relation with them, relation as in the sense a co-evolutionary relationship, and we find that she consistently talks to them, and it also seems as if the bees reciprocate the affection shown to them, because at a particular instance in the novel, we find the bees protecting her from a dangerous situation. So reciprocity is something that we find here, like in the case of companion species relationship. Also, apart from the humans, in a companion species relationship, the other beings should also gain from this particular relationship. And that here, with regard to the bees, is that they are capable of living in a natural environment as opposed to other bees in the rest of the world. And they also have a sense of bodily autonomy, as in other bees are turned into cyborg bees by other humans, while these particular insects, protected by Pilar and Toby, they evolve naturally along with the humans in a natural environment. So they too gain from the relationship with the humans. So again, a reciprocal behavior where both the individuals or entities involved, they gain mutually benefit. So here we find how one works with the other, changes the other, benefits from the other, and enters into a relationship that is based on respect, unconditional love, and reciprocity. So that becomes a typical example of a companion species relationship from the perspective of a particular text. So that is a very small instance that I mentioned here. I am hoping I made sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. That was a quick glance at the idea of post-humanism from the perspective of Donna Haraway. I think the session is now open for discussion. We have with us as respondents Ms. Meera and Ms. Shilpa Anand. Others can post a question in the chat box so that we can answer them together at the end of the session. Now let me invite Ms. Meera, who is a scholar of our department, to express our views regarding post-humanism. Ms. Meera, are you there?
Hello, am I audible, Anju?
Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. First of all, Anita, you have congratulations for a very neat and clear presentation on this topic. See, the fundamental question framing the post-humanism is not about superseding the human and establishing a robotic culture, but admitting the human as an interdependent part of the material configurations of the world and its differential becomings is what Anita have explained us here. She just tried to tell us that it signals, that means the discussion on post-humanism doesn't really mean the end of humanity, but also maintains or it signals instead the end of a certain conception of the human, not really the entire end of humanity. But a question that I have here is that the working of agency, at times in this case, it's just my doubt because I had certain network issues here. So maybe I couldn't hear you for some time. So maybe because of that, but I just have a doubt here. At least technology sometimes works as an agency. So if such a working happens, then in almost every circumstances, how far we try to define it as not just the end. It is not as the end of humanity, but still, when agency come into working, for example, the technological upper hand comes in. So there would be a certain kind of repression of one category over the other. How do you place it then? That is just a question that I have here from what you have presented. Am I audible, Anita?
Yes, Meera. So you're asking me if agency on the part of the technology would suppress the humans.
Yeah,
Right.
suppressing humans. Yeah.
Okay.
Or the entire relationship that you have been trying to communicate here, the relationship between human beings and the companion, like the bees and the dog, the examples that you have pointed out here.
Yes. That's something that that I had actually put forth in relation to the disabled individuals and the use of technology. Like in the case of Frank Haraway, I had mentioned how wheelchair and certain other technological devices become a kind of companion to the individual involved. But at the same time, like you said, when the question of reciprocity comes in, that is where the question of agency also comes in. If these technological objects are capable of responding or relating in equal terms as the humans, when there is a reciprocal behavior from their part, it might definitely lead to suppression. It could, but that's why I said this particular question with respect to the idea of companion species is not dealt with by Haraway, but what I personally feel is it might lead to suppression if they are capable of reciprocating affections or any other kind of emotions. But there are also instances where this need not necessarily happen. There are certain texts, for instance, in science fiction, where you find, I'm not talking about the actual world that we live in, I'm just talking in relation to literary texts. So there are certain science fiction texts which provide a utopian possibility, an ideal scenario, where even when the technological devices are capable of reciprocating affection or emotions, they still do maintain a harmonious relationship with the human individuals. The question is actually, it can have two answers if you are to ask me. But still, the idea of suppression, the danger of suppression of humans definitely looms large.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I have asked, Anita. Okay, thank you for your answer. But otherwise, it was a very nice presentation, Anita.
Thank you.
So that's it from my side. Anju?
Okay, thank you, Meera. Thank you for your response. All the participants, please note that if you have any further elaborations, any suggestions, or if you have any queries, please put the question or the queries in this chat box. And before that, we have one more respondent. That is Shilpa Anand. Ms. Shilpa Anand, the research scholar, St. Aloysius College. Ms. Shilpa, please.
Thank you, Sridevi. Am I audible?
Yes, Shilpa.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And actually, I do not have a particular question to place, but I would like to comment on put my comments on what Anita has presented. And it has actually very clearly delineated the anthropocentrism, a centrism which has been the norm of the world for a long time. And she has placed it as a terrible, unfair, and brutal way of things. Posthumanism, as opposed to speciesism, calls for an evolution of thoughts and to expand our ethical boundaries beyond the human species, actually. Because the human species, human beings, has always been seen as the central species, the most important species. And we have never actually given much importance to the other species. The other animals have always existed for us. That was the way things were usually. And her presentation has touched upon a very crucial issue which connects deeply with the issues like the current issues like climate change, the natural disasters that we see every day, species extinction, loss of habitat, change in the migratory patterns of birds and animals, then transhumanism, and the exaggerated but eerily possible notion of artificial intelligence taking over the world. The symbiotic relationships across the species has been represented as the only way for survival of the Earth by authors like Margaret Atwood in their speculative fiction. We discussed about Haraway, who spoke about the cohabitation, coevolution, and cross-species sociality. That's what I saw in Anita's presentation. A cursory look on the Mad Adam trilogy. Anita has also spoken about the trilogy. Just a cursory look on the trilogy proves that the instances when the leftover humans, that is in a post-apocalyptic world, the leftover humans, bioengineered animals, and the Quakers come together to survive and evolve in the post-apocalyptic world. Another author, Barbara Kingsolver, has also represented the need for the interspecies symbiotic relationship, and this occurs in almost all her novels. And Anita has, talking about the Mad Adam trilogy by Atwood, Anita mentioned the companionship of Toby, one of the characters, with the bees. Apart from this, we can see several instances of human, non-human contact throughout the trilogy. The well-studied and scientifically grounded speculative fiction of authors like Haraway, Atwood, and Barbara Kingsolver open up vistas for the unlikely and difficult union of science and the humanities. And now, with the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference going on right now, it is greatly significant that the researchers in our research center are taking up research topics of such vast significance and interdisciplinary nature. Because as scholars of literature, it is our ethical responsibility that we realize the inherent flaws in our anthropocentric system and bring forth through our research the significance of the symbiotic relationship across the species and the concept of post-humanism. So that is all, and let me thank Anita for such a wonderful presentation. Thank you. That's all from me. Anju?
Thank you, Shilpa Miss. So Anita, that was a really wonderful presentation. Let me know if there are any other questions or suggestions or views regarding or your perspectives regarding post-humanism.
Anita, I had a question. I might be asking this out of my ignorance, but do you think this theory is too idealistic to be applied to a practical scenario, like Shilpa ma'am was talking about the climate conference that's going on, and we all recognize the dire need of human beings to understand the relevance of a symbiotic relationship with not necessarily just the non-human, but with the universe as such. So do you think this theory can be put to real life practice, or is it just an idealistic theory that's applicable only to speculative fiction?
Actually, the theory is the concepts and propositions made by philosophers and theorists. What I personally feel is they would like it to be put into practice, but actually the scenario that they have envisioned seems to be idealistic and utopian. As we all know, it might not be possible to put all of it into practice, but definitely we are looking at a possibility regarding how such concepts can be put forth or can be encouraged through fiction. Actually, I think post-humanism in relation to fiction attempts to do that. But in reality, like as you said, it is considered utopian or idealistic, which might be difficult to put into practice.
Okay, thank you.
Have I answered?
Yes, you have answered the question, and I guess maybe with lectures like these, about the symbiotic relationship that you were talking about, at least we will be able to make some change personally in our lives, and this, I think, is how Chrysalis can further itself by applying some of these theoretical concepts somehow into our lives as well. Thank you, Anita.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you. Definitely. I think all research are intended to be put into practice. I personally feel that. And especially in literature, that's one of the limitations that are put forth by scholars. With respect to other disciplines, I think they do take up real time or a little more reality-oriented researchers where they are capable of contributing to the society. But it seems as if research in the area of literature, that's a general conception. That's not my personal opinion. Definitely, we do have a great role to play in contributing to the society. But that's the general conception among the public that researchers in literature do not tend to be action oriented. So maybe like Haraweyan said, maybe we can put our ideas and researches into practice and be change makers in the society.
Yes, Anita, thank you.
Any more questions? So is it okay if we proceed? Okay, in between that, let me know who all are there, who all have attended the meeting. I've just gone through the members list. Anita, Arati, Adira, Tiba Roy, Drishya, Hema, Jita, Meera, Nita, Sandeep, Sharada, Shilpa, Sridevi, Uma Parvati, Unikrishnan, Varsha. And also Reshma is there, Atulya is there. Are there any other scholars here?
Arya.
Sorry, Arya. Arya is here. Any other registered scholars? I think Reshma Miss and Atulya have not got their registration order yet. Is there any other registered scholars? Julie Miss or his sister here? Okay. Shall we move on? Sridevi?
Yes. No others? I hope no other queries are there. So let's move on to the end of the session. So here comes to the end of Chrysalis 2001, the first lecture. Anita, your lecture was so informative and knowledgeable for us. Thank you, Anita. And I hope the session is quite fruitful and knowledgeable for all who have gathered here. And I hope you all could expand the arenas of knowledge through her theoretical ideas. And next we are eagerly awaiting for the next session of Chrysalis 2021, a lecture series in the loving memory of Dr. Dhanya Menon, Rev Fr Antony Kuttikkatt, CMI, and Professor M.D. Paul Davis. So we have the further sessions on every Thursdays, exactly at 7:45 p.m. So, yeah.
So hearty congratulations to the organizing team and Anita. Okay, I wanted to ask some questions too, but maybe we will deal with that later. I had been asking some of these questions to you earlier too, and it's very interesting too. The topic that you presented is a very interesting topic, and I hope that all of the others too will contribute something to it, because these are themes that we need to discuss around. And as Anita said, literature research is not something that is apart from society. It is part of society, as we all know. As researchers, we all know that it's part of the social living. It's part of us as human beings. And okay, these questions about utopianism, the question also comes if we human beings are not for us, who else will be there? And then the further question, the question can extend, isn't the post-humanism also for us? And how can post-humanism for us too? And is it for our interest that we are bringing forth such ideas? Okay, all these are questions that we need to ask. And the respondents, Meera and Shilpa, they too did so well. I'm glad every one of you participated. We don't have, I think, because of the time restraints, we don't have that much time for further interactions. I'm sure that so many others too want to talk about this topic. Okay, I too will keep quiet now. And let me congratulate the organizers once more. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Betsy. Before winding up, I also express my gratitude towards Ms. Adari, who have prepared a series of questions, who have handled that session very well. It was not a waste of time. It was really a wonderful opportunity for us. And also to declare the winners of the day. Like Vasha and Shilpa Miss both have got 2 points each. So others, I request everyone to actively participate in the quiz of further sessions. So we would definitely get the prize. So thank you, everyone. Also, thank you, Vinita Miss, for being here throughout the session. Jason sir was also here throughout the session. Thank you, Jason sir and Vinita Miss.